Hey, Peter, Odionic Buga in the building. I'm super excited about the opportunity to be live today. It's the 16th day of June, the magical year 2025. There's a lot happening already in the world. What we see today is beyond the economic challenges that's happening across the world. We have been jolted from, I want to call the sleep that many of us have been in by the activities going on in the Middle East. We saw the actions between the two leaders of two major nations in the Middle East. I want to say one of the most important nations that the earth has ever seen, the nation of Israel, and then another global power. I want to say the most relevant in every sense of the word according to the operations of the system today, the most relevant nation in the last days. We're looking at the nation of Iran. Why am I talking about the most relevant? I want to believe it's relevant because this nation has been able to indoctrinate its people about their mission in the last days. Let me just first say it here that the Eastern world, especially the Shia Islam followers, they have a clearer grip, a tighter grip on their mission during the apocalypse. During apocalyptic period, the Shia Islam already have a spelled out program of what will be happening in the world. They know that their 12th Imam is rising, and the 12th Imam is actually going to get rid of Dajjal. They can identify Dajjal in their world. The same is the case. The same should be the case with much of the church. We should be able to identify the mystery of iniquity. Do you understand? If you follow Islam eschatology, you will recognize that they are talking about the one-eyed Dajjal. That's this person that's been able to ensure that the world is shallow and secularization has taken over. And then the person has used the Hollywood to define the perspective of most of the people who belong to his world. There's an expectation from the Shia Islamic speaking people. I want to say one of the biggest countries that host these people today is Iran. They have an expectation that the 12th Imam is rising and is out of the chaos of what they are experiencing, that the 12th Imam will rise and bring a new conditioning for a world beyond Dajjal. A world beyond, who is Dajjal to them now? Dajjal is the West, right? So they are already expectant of a world beyond the West. And like I've always been saying here, I've told you that we have the Western and the Eastern Antichrist. I've told you how COVID-19 presented as a it's a call, it's a wake-up call, global reset. It's a reset of the globe, a reset of the world. We're coming out of the era of the Western Antichrist and we're going into the era of the Eastern Antichrist. I began talking about the things that we see in the world today that tells us that the Western world is going down and the Eastern world is rising. I began to talk about economic changes that we have seen, and the world has not been able to recover from the economic transitions that has been happening. We've also, for the most part, been resisting a religious transition. It came to a time we saw how useless the Western churches have been, the Vatican and her children. We see how they were shut down by a pandemic. But you see, post-pandemic, after the pandemic, many people have not let go of the practices that had become a tradition. Many people have not let go of the practices that they had always been used to. They have not let go of their religions. They have not let go of their denominations. They have not let go of the capitalistic God that they knew. They have not let go of the things that they have been used to. You see, and what they should have been doing was to be preparing for what is to come, because what is to come is already with us. We are about to experience geopolitical transitions. So that's what we are looking at. Who is going to determine the geopolitics of the Arab world? Is it the Sunni speaking Umar, the Sunni speaking Islamic world that have been enjoying the riches of Babylon while they have been dealing with the Western world hitherto? Or is it the Shia speaking section of, or Umar, sub Umar of the Muslim world, that's finding her common ground with strong partners, the kings that are rising from the east? That's why you are seeing what's happening in Israel today. What's happening in Israel today is a pointer to the fact that the madness of the West has come to an end. The era of the Western perception, they have a perception that they are superior to every other person. That era has come to an end. And how do you know? You are going to see chief locations, both in the Middle East, in Europe, and in the West. Chief locations will take a hit. We are going to see a taste of what nations, let me say nations in the global south, have faced under the oppressive, manipulative rule of the Western world. I want to remind you that in the last 5 years in Syria, there are many children that all they have woken up to is the sound of bombs. They are 5 years old now, but since when they were babies, their minds have been traumatized by bombings on the campaign that the Western Antichrist has been having in their land. I'm a Nigerian, and we just came out of one of the most dastardly demonstrated evil in the state of Benue, where over 200 children were charred. They were burnt by rampaging Fulani headsmen. And it's become a perennial concern how you see that the humanity of people in the global south has been maimed. People have been raped. Babies have been ripped out of the wombs of their mothers. There's a lot of tragedy that has become the mainstay of many people in the global south. But you see, that experience, it will come and will have it, that the people who caused it will have a taste of that pill. And that's what we are seeing today when we are seeing bombs drop on Zionist Israel. We are seeing destruction. They have seen the destruction just in the same token that they have been handing over to people around there. We've experienced the Gaza conditioning, what happened in Gaza in the last year. And if you are open to the evolution of the time, you will know the position that this nation of Israel, though they claim to be God's people, but God has something else. If we are preachers of the gospel of the kingdom, and we recognize that God brought salvation through the Jews in the person of Yeshua HaMashiach, and we recognize that Yeshua HaMashiach has a message. He's not just the savior of the Jews, the king of the Jews, as the Roman sage has put it. They put it on his cross. King of the Jews. That's what the Jews said he claimed to be. But that's not who he is. He's the king of the kings of the earth. He's now the Lord of the lords of the earth. And if he really was the king of Israel, and if you will position yourself to be a follower of a king, would Israel be what Israel is today? Would Israel be the chief provocateur in the Middle East as it is today? Will Israel see themselves as superior when it comes to their placement among the nations? If Christ was king, will Israel be in this war? Will Israel have attacked Iran this time around? If Christ were king, would Israel be practicing a democracy? Would they be the pioneering homosexual LGBT compliant nation in the Middle East? Will it be the case today? So what I'm saying is a pointer to the Church of Christ, especially those that are compliant with the ideals of the Western world. Because what they are saying now is the enemy is Iran. Israel is God's people. Iran will have a taste of what the medicine that Israel serves. Do you understand? Israel has never lost a battle. Yes, it is when the people go out trusting in their chariots, trusting in their horses, trusting in their alliances. And that's when they will feel the real pang of the defeat. or saying it just as I see it, because the scripture talks about the rise of the kings of the east. What we should have been doing before now was to prepare for the era of the kings of the east. The believers around the world should have been preparing after we experienced the religious transition of COVID-19, the Great Reset. We've experienced the religious transitions. What we would have gone for would have resorted to our first works. We would have returned to the message of the kingdom and tried to develop the footprint of the body of Christ assigned to the nations that will present gospel to them, the nations, as righteousness, God's government plan for the conditioning of nations. When we went through the economic challenges post COVID-19, what we should have been doing was to build that community that becomes a support system for everybody that belongs to it. We would have built a new system, build a new economic system for the church in the city, so that we can rally around ourselves, have something like a trade by barter system that will help us deal with ourselves, exchange goods and services. That's some kind of globalization, right? But we are looking at a God ordained globalized system where everybody in the community can work together and love becomes what binds us together. This is what we should have done since we started seeing the collapse of the Western world, with the economic collapse that we are coming in. Now, whatever we would have done with the religious changes and the economic changes, there is no way we can go through the geopolitical changes that's coming with the rise of the kings of the East when we are not ready. We won't be ready for it. You'll not be ready for a world that you have recognized as the emergent real world, preceding or coming after a world of deception that the Western Antichrist has promoted. And I'm sure I'm speaking over the heads of many people, but if you are not ready, you will not find your place standing before your nations, standing for the Lord under the time of the judgment of the kings from the east. The Eastern Antichrist is who we're talking about. This man has a plan for Israel. The Eastern Antichrist. He has a plan for Israel, and he has a setting, a configuration for the Israel that he's going to be in a covenant with. He has a plan for the global south, Africa. And that plan is not democracy. The plan is socialism. And I want to tell you that this is why you have Fulani headsmen in your woods. Fulani headsmen, they are in your forests. I'm talking to my people in Nigeria now. You have Fulani headsmen in your forests because there is a plan for the kings of the East to bring a system that helps them govern Nigeria under socialism. I've always said socialism is rising. Socialism is rising. Listen to me. Socialism is what they are experiencing today in Burkina Faso. That's socialism. And that's what is coming to Nigeria too. Don't get it twisted. It's coming to Nigeria. The systems and institutions that the Western Antichrist has set, the geopolitical arrangement that the Western Antichrist has set in Nigeria is going to be uprooted. And a new system is coming. That's what you should be ready for. In fact, if there's any groaning that's happening with the people today, they are groaning as a result of their dissatisfaction. They are groaning as a result of the terrorism that they have been forcefully brought under. Listen, it is going to be relieved when the Eastern kings rise and they bring their socialist system to reinvent that. So we're going into, it's the global reset. The global reset. We are coming into a new era. It is the era of the Eastern Antichrist, the era of Easternization, the era of socialism. That's the final expression of the beast, his final program to the nations. But the beast always has a desire for the beautiful land. He always has a desire for Israel. He has a desire for the church. And whatever he's going to bring is going to be against the backdrop of the failures of the Western Antichrist. Nigeria, people in the global south, you have seen tangible effects, consequence of the failures of the Western Antichrist. It has defined how your marriages have been in the last 60 years. It has defined how your business has become in the last 60 years. You saw how people became increasingly greedy. Yes, that's an influence of the Western Antichrist. You have seen how the greed and avarice has found its way into what expressed itself as the church. A church that is capitalistic is an influence of the Western Antichrist. You have found increasing demand for wealth acquisition, robbery. It has defined your moral code. Listen, all of this are the lawlessness, which is predominantly an effect of the Western Antichrist. Listen to me. The Eastern Antichrist that's coming after the Western Antichrist is actually coming to present his offer against the backdrop of what he's telling you their Western proponents have done. You have seen what the Western proponents have done in Nigeria. You have seen how they promoted democracy and their Christianity, and you have seen where they have brought Nigerians to. Listen to me. That will be the ground that will cause you to embrace what the Eastern counterpart is coming with. Do you understand? You are going to see something like what Ibrahim Traore is doing for the people, the Burkina people. But this one is going to be bespoke to Nigerians. It's going to be prepared for Nigerians. The Nigerian can relate to it, and the Nigerian will see it as the utopia that he has always looked for. Do you understand what I'm saying? This has no business with what you have always known is the global reset we are talking about. It means you in your community, you will have to embrace new institutions. You will have to embrace new systems. You have to embrace a new way of life. It will be forced upon you. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's going to be forced upon you. There's no way you can resist it, because you would have seen transitions happening in the Holy Land. You would also see transitions happening in the first world. America, transitions. You will see it. You will see it with your eyes. And you will also see transitions happening in the global south. In your land, you are going to see transitions. You are going to see new institutions established. You are going to see new systems, just as the way it was when John the Baptist was born. About that season, what happened? The Roman Empire came into Israel. They toppled the nation of Israel. There was an outright overthrow of the ebb and flow of Israeli life. They set up a king, Herod, and they set up tax collectors, and they put their flag in the land. And what did they say? From now on, you begin to pay your tax to the Caesars. That's exactly what we are going to see. The emergence of a new breed of Caesars. The Caesar you have always known has been your politician, your government. The Caesar you have always known, and you have seen that Caesar operate with your churches. That's all you have always known. But the time has come that you will see a new breed of Caesar. The new breed of Caesar is presenting a new Bible. Let me show you something. The old Caesar came with this Bible, the Holy Bible, right? This is what the old Caesar brought. He brought this Bible that they canonized. 66 books. It was canonized by the Protestant church. And this became what we have always been running with. It has defined our eschatology. It has defined our perception about Jesus. It has defined our perception about God, many of who believe is the same as Jesus. It has defined our perception about the gospel, ministry, soul winning, according to the ideals of the Western world. But you see, this is going out of the window, and this is what they are bringing. I want you to take a look at this. This is an Eastern Ethiopian Orthodox Bible. How many books do you have there? There are 88 books. And much of what we see in those apocryphal books are things that the Eastern Antichrist is coming to fulfill. We are looking at the emergence of, you see, before I came on to do this live, something was in my heart. I called it the Black Jesus. Many of us have heard the term Black Jesus. Where did we hear it from? We heard it from the mouth and the life, the experience of a digital creator. They call him Gege, Nigerian digital creator, the richest man in Delta State. He has shot it out of his mouth, the Black Jesus. And they say, you be Black Jesus. But they really do not understand that the Black Jesus is the true Jesus. Do you understand? If I say that word, it will strike a chord to make people feel that when the Eastern Antichrist comes and tell us about the Black Jesus, they are talking about the real Jesus, because the Eastern Antichrist is coming with another layer of deception. But what am I saying? Yeshua HaMashiach was truly black. And this is what the people who canonized this Bible, the King James Version of the Bible, this is what they always hid from us. The ruling house of Israel, the ruling house of the Holy Land, they are black people. The descendants of Judah, they are black. Mind-blowing revelation is coming. And you see, the Eastern Antichrist is coming to present this truth, and it will use this truth to tell you why the Israel that you saw that was put together by the United Nations in 1948 had evil tendencies. They were whites. They were Edomites. They came in from Europe under the authorization of the United Nations, and they were hoisted upon the inhabitants of the Holy Land. And since they came in, they have been growing their territories. As much as they have grown their territories, they have also grown the ideals of the Western Antichrist when they had moved to democratize the nations round about them. What have you seen? You have seen the character of the Antichrist. You have seen a destroyer. You have seen a waster. You have seen somebody that has demonstrated evil, hatred, avarice, greed. He has been going for the oil of people. This is the character of the beast. Where is he finding expression? In the world today. So we're not waiting to see the Antichrist. The Antichrist has been here. He has been giving a religious experience to the nations. He has been giving a political experience to the nations. He has been giving a geopolitical experience. So when I'm talking about geopolitical power, I'm talking about power to condition territories. And sometimes you do it by force. Sometimes you do it through wars. You do it through killings. That's why you have been seeing the wars that you have been seeing in the world. But listen to me. When the Eastern Antichrist is coming with his updated version of his gospel to a people who are breaking out of the deception of the West, they will present to you a measure of the truth. Presenting a measure of the truth, they will tell you that as Yeshua HaMashiach is his real name, first of all, that they promote Yeshua, who is King of Kings. He has a place to fulfill in Scripture, and they will tell you that this Yeshua HaMashiach is black. His people are also black. I'm not talking about the church. I'm talking about Christ's people, descendants of Judah, the ruling house that heard the command of the Lord that the scepter will not depart from the house of Judah until Shiloh comes. That Judah, the scepter won't depart from his house. So those Judah roots, the people that give expression to the Judah lineage, they will be sent back from the world scattered into, and they will be brought in to the program of the Western Antichrist. And what have you seen? As the Eastern Antichrist demonstrated his love for Israel, what did he do? He colonized Israel, made Israel a democracy, and began to work his plan through a counterfeit people of God. The Eastern Antichrist is also going to demonstrate his love and desire for Israel. How is he going to do this? He's going to call back the people that have been scattered across the nations, give them their place in the ruling house of the Israel that he is going to reproduce. He is going to rebuild. So there's a demand. I begin to see a demand for the rebuilding of Israel. Under a new organization, under a new arrangement, there's going to be a rebuilding and reconstitution of Israel And this is on this ground you will see the covenant that the beast will have with the nations. It will have a covenant with the nation of Israel, and this time the nation of Israel, you will recognize that in your lifetime Edomites were tolerated in the land in your lifetime, and in the same lifetime you will see black-skinned people tolerated in the land. And the Israel that the black-skinned people will be, that Israel will be more peaceful. That Israel will be more obedient to the law. But I'm beginning to wonder that law is going to be different. They will open a measure of the truth, but it's still a level of deception. Because they are going to build a system that has been, they are going to build smart cities out of Israel. So they let them destroy the places. They will rebuild the places, and as they are rebuilding it, they will tell you that this is why they are the saviors of the world. They were the ones that were able to broker peace, and they are the ones that are able to build an egalitarian Middle East. Order your copies of my books in my Amazon store.